Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you being here. I have a different type of a video for you today. I know it's usually like drone stuff and techie stuff and sometimes some vlogs and whatnot. But today I actually have a special guest who's going to join us and answer some questions about his career and what he used to do and what he does now. My special guest is Jon Brennan. He is from MTV's The Real World, if you remember that, from about 28 and a half years ago. He was on season 2, LA. And he also recently I don't know if you guys know, but on Paramount Plus, they did a homecoming. They started with season 1. They just finished season 2, so he was in that. And so we're going to talk about The Real World. We're going to talk about The Real World Homecoming. And we're also going to be talking about Jon Brennan's music career. He has an EP out now, Jon Brennan. It's called I Ain't Done Singing Yet, to where, from what I understand, he wrote 3 of the songs on here, or co-wrote, but we'll get into all that. We'll talk about The Real World, The Homecoming, and the EP. And by the way, head on over to Jon Brennan, JonBrenna.com, and get the CD. You can download the music in digital form. He's got merch, shirts, and all that good stuff. So make sure you head over there too and help Jon out. So without further ado, we're going to bring Jon on and get this started. Jon Brennan.
Hey,
how are things going?
Pretty good, man.
Awesome. First things that I wanted to start with is we'll get to like the homecoming and what you did on The Real World and your EP and stuff like that. But one thing that I wanted to know is, what have you been doing like since The Real World? Like, what are you doing now? Where are you at? What have you been doing since?
Well, I'll give you the quick lowdown. Right after The Real World in 1993, I actually returned back to Nashville the day the first episode aired. Oh, so for the next 22 weeks, it was like Kardashian fame. And I was, in Nashville trying to do music, and I actually got signed to a record deal with Capitol Records in Nashville. I was opening for big stars, doing a lot of concerts by myself, and people were coming because, hey, it's the guy from The Real World, not because I had a hit record. Yeah. So I did that for most all of the 90s, and then my record label kind of dropped me off. They signed Trace Adkins and dropped me. And then, my music career kind of unraveled, and I thought, well, I'll just regroup and try again. And what ended up happening was a guy in my hometown said, hey, I'm getting ready to start a church. Would you lead the music? Because, I do songs. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I'll do that, temporarily until I, 5-6 weeks until I get back to Nashville and regroup with my music career. And then I was there for, I was there for, that's what I thought, but I was there for 5 years. And I was the youth pastor, became the youth pastor of a really fast growing church in my hometown. And all the teenagers loved me and knew who I was from being on the TV show. And so, and then I moved to Birmingham, Alabama, where I was a youth pastor, moved to St. Petersburg, Florida, where I was a youth pastor. Okay. Then I was working with a NGO nonprofit organization that was in East Africa. I was a missionary in Kenya and Uganda for 8 years, and rescuing orphans and making sure they got the money to go to school and making sure they got sponsors and things like that. And then my father got sick with cancer, so I quit doing that and moved back to Kentucky to be with him for a little while he was, passing away. He died almost 3 years ago. And so now thank you. Now I'm working at a church, and I'm leading the music and the youth again. And so trying to regroup on my music career. So that 30 years has gone by fast, but that's what I've been doing. Yeah, it's been like 28 and a half, right? I think you said actually, when we filmed the homecoming, it was 28 and a half. That was August. So it's a full 29 and a month now. I left my house on January the 20th in the Winnebago with Tammy and Dominic in 1993. So January 20th, it hit exactly 29 years. We're working on 30. I mean, I just use big round figures. It's been 30 years. Almost,
yeah. And that
feels like 30.
That whole deal with them picking you up, that started the road rules thing, from what I understand.
Yeah, sure did. They thought, man, these idiots in this Winnebago could be a whole show by themselves.
Yeah, well, they were right, because that went
so they went and found a bunch of idiots and made a show.
And that went on for quite a while. So
Yeah, I mean, Road Rules actually, and I was on Road Rules. They did what they called the Road Rules All Stars. They picked one person from each real world, and it was actually considered the first challenge. And I was on there with Eric from the first season, me from the second season, Rachel from the third season, and then Cynthia was from the Miami cast, and Sean from the Boston cast. That's where Sean and Rachel actually met.
Right.
And they got married and have like 8 or 9 kids now. So
Yeah.
that was the first challenge in 1998, although I think we filmed it in 1997, but Wikipedia says 1998. But yeah, so I mean, and I'll just tell you, Road Rules is a lot more fun to be on.
Oh, really?
You're actually traveling, doing, yeah, you're not just sitting in a house going, I wonder what, idiotic thing David and Tammy are going to do today. You're just like, you actually get to travel and accomplish something and work on something together. And I mean, it wasn't all without any arguments or anything, but I mean, it was a lot more fun of an experience.
Yeah. It was that like a whole thought every day of David and Tammy and what's going to happen?
Back in the day or this homecoming?
Well, either one.
Back in the day, David really wasn't there very long. He manages to last about 10 days. He lasted about 10 days back in 93. And it was a little bit, it made it look like it was a little longer than that, but it was about 10 or 12 days.
That feeling that it was longer.
And then the homecoming, it was about 10 days again.
Oh, really? Okay.
So he lasted about 10 days in that experience is all.
Okay.
But yeah, there were so many dynamics going on back in 93. We had, Dominic and Aaron and, everybody was kind of new. It really wasn't, it's really not what I thought of every day back then, but the homecoming certainly became, what are we going to have to deal with today? And everybody, tweeting and DMing us and saying, why you guys didn't step in when Tammy was bullying David? And it's like, well, I mean, honestly, you sit back and enjoy that sometimes because both of them kind of create. Well, it's a definite show. I mean, reality TV has changed. I thought, well, I know reality TV has changed, but with the same group of people that we started it with, they'll be genuine. No, everything they did was from like, man, you've changed in 30 years. What happened to the genuine idiot I used to know? Now you're the fake idiot. And I'm just like, well, everybody just faking it for the camera all the time. And I thought, okay, well, reality TV's changed and people have certain expectations of drama that if they don't get, then they get on Twitter and say, oh, you're, someone's carrying the show and, you're boring, but this one's carrying it. It's like, some of us are being real and some of us is being fake. So what do you really want?
Right. Just to amp up the show. Really.
Yeah. So, I mean, when they started in that, we just sat back. We're like, we're making Rice Krispie treats. We're like, yeah. How do you like your hamburgers? I like mine bigger than the bun. They showed that right in the middle of the whole.
Yeah,
like,
I remember
why
that.
you guys were talking about Rice Krispie treats. It's like, you don't think we did that accidentally. Like, we were enjoying the unfold of the idiocracy. I mean, I was being thoroughly entertained, to be honest with you. I was about to step in. David deserved what he got. Tammy deserved what she was getting. And I'm just like, this is nice. I mean, I'm not going to be involved in it, but I'm going to sit back and watch.
Avoid the situation and talk about burgers.
They're tweeting me. It's like, you didn't step in. So-and-so was being bullied. David should have never said those things. Tammy should have never bullied. And I'm just like, I was being thoroughly entertained like you were. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to make Rice Krispies. I don't even like Rice Krispie treats.
Right, yeah. I think they're okay. But yeah. So, well, that's interesting to know. Now, you started back on the real world when they picked you up on that. Like, how did that come about for you?
Well, this is what I always say. You can quote me on this since this is going to be broadcast on the internet. I always say that I started the challenge. Okay, I started the challenge because I was on the first challenge with everybody, and I always say that I started Road Rules because Tammy and Dominic and I were in the Winnebago and sparked the Road Rules. Right. So I started the challenge. I started the road rules, and I started the real world too, because there was a New York season before us, but it sucked completely. So I always just say I started all three of those things.
Yeah, I actually watched season 1 back in the day, and I was just like, what is this? And when your season came about, to me, it was more entertaining, and it was just kind of like they kind of figured it out by that point.
Yeah,
or you guys had figured it out, and so. But as far as like getting on the show, they approached you. Is that correct?
Yeah. What happened was I'm trying to turn off this group text. Are you hearing that coming over the computer?
No.
Okay, well then I'll ignore it because I hate group text, and I'm in one, and I'm trying to disable it so that. But so back in 1993, you have to remember that country music was huge.
Oh yeah.
You had Travis Tritt, Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, Brooks and Dunn. All these people had come out, and people that didn't even like country music were buying country music.
Right.
And so MTV, having done the first season of The Real World, they said, let's go to Nashville and find, like the Julie from the first cast. Let's go to Nashville and find an aspiring country music singer that, is from the South. And there I was in downtown Nashville, and they said, hey, you a singer? I'm like, man, you're in Nashville. Everybody here's a singer. And they said, you want to be on this show called The Real World on MTV? It's really neat. And people live in the house and they have arguments. And I'm like, no, I'm not even an actor. Like, they're like, no, it's real. It's a reality show. I'm like, what is that? What's a reality show? So, they kind of came and asked me if I wanted to do it. They approached me. I didn't apply for it. And then I know with the season that came after me, the San Francisco season, they wanted a bike messenger. They knew they were going to be in San Francisco. So they went and found a bike messenger, found Puck. So, I mean, a lot of people apply and they choose from that. And then a lot of people, they're like, this is what we're looking for. Let's go find that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, and I think I had kind of heard that before. I just really didn't know like if that was actually accurate or.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was the only one for many seasons that didn't actually apply for it. And I know I was the youngest one maybe ever. I mean, I had just graduated high school. I mean, I know they're making reality shows with minors now, but for the longest time, I mean, I was barely 18. So.
Yeah.
And you can tell that when you watch the old clips on the homecoming and they're showing old clips from 30 years ago and like, man, that kid looks like he's 15 years old.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, it was great. I mean, I gotta be honest. I was living with 21, 22, 23, 24-year-old people that acted like they didn't have no sense. And, I was 18 and didn't have a lot of sense, but I had more than these crazy people.
You're like the voice of reason.
Sometimes, not always, but there were times.
Like then and the homecoming, really.
Oh, definitely on the homecoming. I mean, back on The Real World in '93, I'm just like, I mean, you shouldn't have said that. That was stupid. I mean, but there again, you give yourself a pass. You're 18 years old,
right?
But no, at the homecoming, I was definitely the voice of reason, like perhaps the only voice of reason.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that in some moments. So.
Well, not if you look at Twitter.
Well, I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. I don't have any of that. But
yeah.
I do is the YouTube thing. And I got my Instagram account, which not a lot of people even on that, kind of just like close friends and family. So I kind of stay away from social media, even though I'm like a computer geek type person. I just don't get into that, So, but anyway, back then, back in the day, the first Real World, when your season started, you being a country singer, is that where the whole true story came from and the hashtag you use now? And
I mean, I was sitting there on the sidewalk. I remember very vividly, and George was the showrunner, the main producer, and he said, hey John, so you've seen the first show, right? I'm like, well, I hadn't, but now I have. Okay, so it's the true story of 7 strangers picked to live in a loft, but we're going to say pick to live in a beach house or pick to live in a house, whatever ours was. And we want you to sing that in your most nasally, twangy country music voice possible. I'm like, why? And they said, just do it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sing it like Dwight Yoakam would sing it. And so I get to, this is the true story and of 7 strangers. And they just doubled over belly laughing. I'm like, did I say it wrong? They're like, no, you said it perfect. I'm like, all right, do I need to do it again? They're like, no, we got what we needed. And so all they took was the true story. Yeah. And then everywhere I went for all of the 90s, and then nowadays again, say true story. And I would do concerts and my fans would be, true story. And so I'm like,
really?
Embrace it, right? Embrace it.
Might as well go with it.
Yeah, there's TV shows called True Story. Everybody, there's a hashtag True Story that I'm using because it's mine. But I mean, people are always like, yeah, this is true story. I'm like, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna write a song.
Yeah, no, it worked out. Okay, so.
Yeah.
But okay, well, I'm sure that you kind of figured that probably any interview you do, the it wasn't not funny hallway scene, blanket scene comes up. Now, when I
It
watched,
definitely wasn't not funny.
it wasn't not funny, especially if you've seen the homecoming and you saw the additional facts that came out on that.
Oh, the additional facts.
And I don't want to like say what those were in case people haven't watched the homecoming. I don't want to ruin it for them.
Well, it's on there. We should talk about it. I mean, spoiler alert, we're finna talk about it.
Okay. Well, let's spoil it then.
Well, I mean, you got 30 years to think about defending your behavior that night. Okay.
Mhm.
So I mean, all sorts of things come up. You know, Tammy said, well, what you guys didn't know was I was, battling body dysmorphia. I didn't like the way my body looked, which explained a lot of things. I mean, she wired her mouth shut on television.
Right. Yeah.
And, okay, well, yes. But I mean, we all acted crazy that night and we all overreacted.
Oh, yeah. You doing
David
the
included.
WWE countdown?
Yeah. I mean, but hey, listen, I've been watching Hulk Hogan since 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime somebody's on the ground and somebody covers them, they're getting a 3 count. So
3 count.
I don't care. I mean, at that point, everybody's laughing and joking. And so, yeah, I mean, now watching it back and how everything unfolded was that, bad taste. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you definitely didn't want to be doing the 3 count in the middle of the most infamous clip of reality television ever. But that's what I did. And it's what I felt like doing at the time. It's what I'll probably do again. But if your shoulders are down and I'm in the room, you get a 3 count. Okay.
That might have been great when Beth hit her head and then was down.
That was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. And so, I mean, yeah, it was funny. And I mean, honestly, the world wanted to see Beth's head get slammed by the door. I mean, that was just like, and I love Beth. She's like my best friend, but it's like, that's hilarious. That's Abbott and Costello comedy right there.
Right.
Bonk,
I mean, it's not like she was like majorly hurt, so it's fun.
No, it wasn't. She was, but everybody had a. I mean, of course, we threw David out. I'm gonna say it really, really concisely and true, so that we can move on and all your viewers can know. If I had done what David did to Tammy in the hallway with the blanket, it would have been, John, you're a big fat jerk, and everybody would have gone to bed. Don't you ever do that again? It'd been over. But it was David. And we had put up with 10 or 12 days of David. And as you saw in the homecoming, he's really difficult.
Yeah.
And what I really appreciated in the homecoming, the way they edited it, was when Beth S. was saying it wasn't just the hallway. It was he physically attacked John, wanted to choke me. I'm putting on rollerblades. He wants to choke me because my parents
about styrofoam or something, right?
Yeah, my parents had shipped my box out with my cowboy hats in it and had styrofoam packing, and there were some styrofoam peanuts laying around. He wants to fight me, like tries to choke me while I'm putting on my rollerblades. I'm like, first of all, I could kill you, but I'm on television right now and I'm not going to fight you while I'm on rollerblades. That's stupid.
Right.
And then, just the verbally abusive things he had said to Beth, a lot of things that he had said was the culmination of, okay, we can't live with this guy. We got to get rid of him and here's our chance. I mean, that's the bottom line. Should he have been kicked out for what he did? No. Should he have been kicked out for all the things he did? Yes. But here's the thing that nobody says, and I keep telling the girls, the full-grown ladies, why don't y'all say this when you're confronted about that night? Because no one says this, and they show it. They showed it back then. They showed it at the homecoming, and no one says this. He pulls down his pants, completely naked, and walks towards their bedroom.
Yeah.
They're blurring it out from the back and the front.
I remember that.
That is enough to get you put in jail. I mean,
yeah.
That's not, you're throwing off a reality show. That's actual sexual assault.
Absolutely.
So nobody says anything about that. Oh, the blanket. The blanket's nothing.
Yeah,
when he did that was over
about that.
No one says it. The producers didn't ask us about it. The ladies didn't talk about it. No one in interview mentions it. And I'm just like, is everybody missing the elephant in the room? He got butt naked and walked towards 3 ladies.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, especially if that happened today in 2022.
You'd be canceled.
You'd be canceled and somebody be in jail. And
yes. So, I mean, it's just like, everybody has an opinion about that night. And should David have been kicked out? Yes, he should have been kicked out. Not because of the blanket, but because of all number one, all of it, and just being a royal impossibility to live with.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that's that. I still feel the same way 30 years ago. It's like, I forgive the guy. He made a mistake and he paid for it for a long time and he got labeled and right. But your actions have repercussions, and his actions that night were, off the chart, and everybody's was. I mean, that's why at the homecoming, I finally said, look, everybody needs a redo on that. Can we? That's 30 years ago. It was hurtful. Tammy, you have your reasons why it was more hurtful than we knew, but I mean, nobody knew that, and you weren't telling anybody what was going on in your life, and I mean, and she says that's still going on for her currently. So, was it really going on back then? We don't know, because
we don't know.
And something else that happened at the homecoming that I really wasn't allowed to talk about while the shows were dropping, but now they've all dropped. But so there's no, David confessed to everybody 30 years later that 30 years ago he told the roommates that I'd asked him if I could hang up a Confederate flag in our bedroom.
Right. Yeah.
And I never said that, and I don't have a Confederate flag, and I don't like them. I think they're offensive, and I live in the South, so I'm all about Southern pride, but they're offensive. They're not, they don't stand for Southern pride. They stand for, stupidity and hatred. So I never said that to him. He tells everybody, so let me clear something up. Jon never said that. And everybody's like, what? You've let us think for 30 years that one of the nicest guys that we know, one of the best friends we've ever met, said something horrible like that to you?
Right.
And they were shocked and pissed that
you knew you didn't say that, right?
I was pretty darn sure, but now I say stupid things. I mean, I say stupid
especially
things.
back then, 18 years old.
Yes. I mean, just like he's like, oh, they were staring at me. They were asking me what, they were staring at me like I stole something. And I'm like, what'd you steal? I'm just so tired of hearing you say they were staring at me. It's like, shut up with that. I was there. Wasn't nobody staring at you. They're staring at you because we're a freak show of a cast walking into a party we weren't invited to with a camera
that's
crew.
That episode.
So I mean, it was the first night we moved into the house, and so ain't nobody staring at you like you stole something. Quit trying to make everything this stupid thing you're trying to make it. And so, I could picture myself going, well, what'd you steal? Because I did say that. So I could picture myself saying something stupid and offensive, because I say stupid and offensive things, but I didn't say that. And so anyway, I said, you know what, David, you've just been through the ringer, because we just talked for 4 hours about the hallway incident and the whole Tammy's body dysmorphia, the R word, everything that he went through. So I'm feeling bad for him. This is the day after that, and we're talking about he never said Jon never said, can I hang up a Confederate flag? So I just look at him and say, you know what, David, I'll give you grace. I forgive you. Thank you for clearing that up. Well, I'm a youth pastor. All right. I'm an evangelical Christian. And so for your viewers, if you've never met one that really is the real deal and means what they say, and all Christians are hypocrites, but no, I'm really the real deal. So let me just take that out of your weaponry. And so I look at him and say, I forgive you. I'm a receiver of grace. I'll give you grace. So I gave him that. I literally said to him, I give you grace. I forgive you. Thank you. And they didn't show that on the show. They didn't show half the things I said that were, wonderful about the Lord on the show. But and I literally baptized Beth A on the show.
And
all right.
That.
A roommate becomes a pastor and baptizes the lesbian roommate in the hot tub of the loft at the 30-year homecoming. And it doesn't make the show.
Oh, wow.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, because certainly we didn't have enough of Tammy and David bickering back and forth for 4 episodes. We had to have more. We couldn't have had 4 minutes of the baptism. I think the things that they don't show is just annoying, because that's a good story. Now they released it as an unseen scene segment on Facebook, but just not the same. Yeah, just not the same. So anyway, I said that to David. I give you grace. I give you forgiveness. Tammy pulls me aside afterwards, some hours after that, same day. No cameras, and she goes, Jon, let me talk to you. You just gonna give him grace and forgive him? I said, yeah. She said, okay.
Great Tammy impression.
Okay, yeah. So you do know we're making a mother effing TV show, right? I'm like, yeah, I know we're making a TV show, but we've been making a TV show for 30 years, and I'm genuine with the way I respond to things.
Yeah,
I genuinely forgave him.
Yeah.
And I told him so. I'm not going to pick a fight with him, yell obscenities, raise my voice, get up in his face, and have a black and white fight on this reunion, because you want to ham everything up for a television show because you're the reality queen of television. Yeah. And I love Tammy. I love Tammy. She's a very unique friend. I love her dearly. She knows I love her. I tell her I love her. But I don't fabricate anything for reunion shows.
Right. Yeah.
I'm real. And if I'm looking at a roommate that I forgive, I look at him and say, I forgive you.
Mm-hmm. And it's genuine.
And it's genuine. And had I gotten up in his face and caused a scene and caused a verbal altercation, that wouldn't have been genuine.
No.
But that's what we see from some of my roommates for the rest of the homecoming. And I just want to say, yeah, I guess it was good TV for viewers. They want to see drama. They want to see this. Oh, it's a mess. I heard the LA season's a mess. Yeah, it was a mess. But was it real? So I come from the camp that I'm making a reality show. So when you see Jon Brennan on the street, you're going to get the same guy that you're getting right now. Okay. I was true 30 years ago. I'm true at the homecoming in 2021. And so, you do know we're making a TV show. I'm like, yeah, I do know we're making a TV show, but you do know that it's a reality show and it's time for us to be real, not fake stuff, not follow David around the yacht to defend Beth, who you don't even like.
Right. Or call her husband to the house.
Who lives in Texas. Okay. They live in Texas, but yet he's a mile away to come over to the house with a phone call. So he was coming to the house at some point. It was just a matter of what were the circumstances going to be. And I'm sorry, I don't think that's genuine. I didn't have a family member waiting in the wings to come over and make a scene. Beth had her 2 children and her husband that just had a brain tumor come over to the house for about 3 hours. We played cornhole, went up on the roof. They never showed that visit. Oh, wow. Glenn has 3 beautiful grown kids that came to the house from Philadelphia. Came to Los Angeles and spent a week there just waiting for the chance when the producer said, yeah, now's a good time to come over to the house and visit. And Glenn, introduce your grown children to your roommates. Never even shown.
Wow. But they did come to the house. They just never aired that.
Right. But that's a story that needs to be told about Glenn. Everybody's like, so Glenn didn't have a storyline. Yeah, he had a storyline. Yeah, he has beautiful children. Yes, he's had a wonderful life for 30 years. You didn't show it because you were more concerned with the fake drama that Tammy and David were having.
Yeah.
We had 8 episodes. 4 of them were just unnecessary drama when you could have shown a baptism. You could have shown family members. You could have shown a lot of wonderful things that happened, conversations that happened. But, I realize that they're editing and they're making a show that's entertaining. But, if you're going to call it a reality show and you want it to be an update on 7 people you hadn't seen in 30 years, show their kids. For instance, I'm a youth pastor. I mentor young men and one particular young man that I baptized and took under my wing. He's 19 years old now. I've taken him in he's almost like a son of mine. And he's at college playing lacrosse and football on a scholarship now. And he's basically my son. Now, they came here the week before I flew to Los Angeles and filmed What Is Jon Doing Now? They showed the church I work at. They showed, and here I have a 19-year-old person that's like a son to me. His name is Cam. He's a black young man. Never told the story that Jon has a black son.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Not a biological son. Never told the story that Jon did mission work in East Africa for 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Not part of the narrative.
It's not dramatic.
The Confederate flag story that never happened was the narrative. Not the baptism, not the mission work in Africa, not the Jon has a black son, not any of that stuff that was real and should have been told.
Yeah. And I even remember on the homecoming, Tammy said a couple times, when are we going to start being real?
Yeah, and she was, the unrealist one. To be honest, to have a husband a mile away at a hotel just waiting on the chance to come over and confront a roommate, that's not real. Following David around the boat to defend Beth because Beth didn't like that he vapes and blew smoke or vape or whatever it is you blow at the table. Tammy's not gonna, Tammy doesn't invest her life in following people around that have offended Beth. For 30 minutes, she followed David around, and he even said, leave me alone, quit following me. And why was she following him? One reason. There was a camera. And she was making a TV show.
Yeah, she's been. Reality.
Oh yeah, she's a reality queen. She's taken the genre of reality television to the next level.
Yeah.
And I was making a TV show too. I was just making one from a place of being genuine.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing though.
Well, it is. But when you get on social media and then when you talk to producers of the show and everything, they're like, Tammy was so real and raw. oh, she was just so raw, just so real. I'm like,
No.
if you had any idea how unreal and unraw that fabricated storyline was, you know, which fabricated storyline? I mean, daily we're hamming stuff up.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, Tammy's carrying the show. Tammy ain't carrying the show. She's faking it. But that's what reality TV's turned into. I mean,
It is.
when I visit my mom, she watches these, where people going shopping for homes and which lake house is it going to be, and we're going to go with this one or we're going to go with that one. And so the couple, they sit down at the picnic table, right? And you're like, well, we could choose this one. It's got a lot more space. It needs more repairs. Blah blah blah. It's out of our people don't have conversations like that.
No.
That's not the way. That's not real, raw. I mean, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, so they sit there in their solid color shirts with no logos on them around a picnic table with a lake behind it and have this conversation.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. They're usually like in the car going, I don't know, I like this one. Okay, let's go with that.
Yeah, or like the Sonic drive-through or something like that.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, reality shows have changed a lot. I understand, and
they have. Like even back in the day, like the actual Real World, I think I stopped watching the Real World like season 7 or 8, I think, because it just got to be too much. And I'm just like, this isn't.
Well, I mean, you got cast members that know that they're going to be famous and that they're on a reality show. So what they do is they start hamming it up. It's like, I mean, the Las Vegas season, they were in the hot tub having sex before all the roommates arrived.
Yeah.
And it's like, would you have done that if there wasn't a television camera there? It's like, can't believe you did that while there was a television camera there. But it's just like, what's real? Now everybody knows what reality TV is. And somebody actually said to me when I was considering doing the Real World, are you going to do this thing you're talking about? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, probably. It's kind of cool. And they said, well, you better enjoy this 15 minutes of fame because this genre of entertainment and television is never going to last. All right. So that was 31 years ago.
Yeah, it's still there.
It's the only thing on. Oh, it's still there, dominant. I mean, because Survivor's reality TV, Big Brother's reality TV, American Idol's reality TV, The Voice's reality TV.
I don't see it going anywhere.
Like I don't. People are tired of sitcoms. I mean, sitcoms aren't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Law and Order, I love, but I mean, what are the shows? I mean, Chicago PD, but I mean, reality TV is what's dominating.
Yeah, it really is. So another show that you're on, one thing I wanted to ask you about, I think I told you this in our correspondence when we talked before, is the celebrity deathmatch thing.
Oh, you wanted to see that? Let me grab that. Hang on.
I did.
Hang on, let me just grab that. Yeah, it's right here. And can you still hear me?
Yes.
Not everybody has one of these. As a matter of fact, I don't know anybody that has one of these. Definitely no Real World members. But I got a call from a friend one day, and they said, "John, you're on MTV like right now." I'm like, "Dude, you've known me a long time. Get over it." Like,
no,
it's probably a marathon. They're like, "No, it's not the Real World. You're on Celebrity Deathmatch." I'm like, "What?" So I click it over there real fast, and there I am fighting Tammy.
So you had no clue you were even going to be on Celebrity Death?
No clue. And so I called MTV in New York. I'm like, "Hey, I want that clay animation figure." And they're like, "John, have you seen the show?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "It's gruesome. They get, dismembered. They're bloody. They get torn apart. They get destroyed." I'm like, "Not mine. Mine should be in perfect shape. I won."
Because you won, yeah.
And they said, "Oh, well, let us find it." And about 10 days later in the mail, this shows up. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't really roll up my britches like that, but
no.
The bright shirts, yeah, the mullet is what
mullet.
Yeah, and the hat, the big huge hat. Now, what I really like is that look how thin I am there. That's not really the case anymore. But the belt buckle, if you zoom in on the belt buckle, it's a cowboy hat, I think. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. Now you can't. It's got a wire in it and it's foamy. Okay. It's not actually clay. But it's like foamy, and it's got a wire in it. Hang on, somebody's in my house.
Okay.
Hey, I'm doing an interview. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
That is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So they sent that to me, and I like the mullet. It stands there on my bookshelf.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wanted to see that. I had heard about that. And I think I had seen another interview where he had that. And so I was like,
Yeah, I posted it on Instagram.
okay. Yeah. Great. One of the other things, switching gears here, going to your music now, you have this EP, which I bought my copy,
Oh man, awesome.
and yeah, got the signature and everything. And
Now that's for your viewers. That's what we call a compact disc, and
yes. Like
it's a
some
thing
of
of
my
the
viewers
past.
might not know what this is, but this is a CD compact
I got
disc.
so many of those, and everybody's like, John, we don't have a CD player, so we'll download the MP3s. I'm like,
Right, yeah, and that's
okay,
what I
all right,
was
but
gonna
I can't
mention.
autograph an MP3.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I bought this. Like I've got a CD player somewhere, but it's a keepsake with the signature, So, but yeah, and
Awesome.
and to get this, they just go to your website. It's the best place,
Yeah,
johnbrennan.com.
JonBrennan.com. Yeah, it's what helps me the most. I mean, it's on all the other
Okay.
places, but to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
singers and
Okay.
songwriters don't get paid the same as if you purchase it from them. So
Right.
JonBrennan.com, I got some stuff on there. Visit my website.
Yeah. Yeah. In the intro, I actually gave a shout out to the website, talked about the CD, the merch, and stuff like that. And I'll be putting the links in the description
Thanks,
as
man.
well. Yeah, no problem for everyone to take a look at. Question though, back in the day, yeah, I think it was on the Real World actually. You had talked about because it showed you going to see some producers and stuff, and they wanted you to be a writer, and you were like, I don't want to write. That's not my thing. I want to sing. But on
Right.
on the EP, you've got 3 tracks that you actually wrote on, correct?
Co-wrote. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
changed for you?
Well, I mean, I didn't have a lot to write about when I was 18,
Okay.
and I had tried it a little bit. And to be honest with you, it was hard. I was really bad at it.
Oh,
And
really?
so, yeah, and I mean, people are like, I'm a singer songwriter. I'm like, well, which one are you good at? Because you're probably not good at both. Some of the best songwriters in the world, they'll be at a songwriters thing, and they'll, yeah, I wrote this song, and it'll be like a monster #1 hit, smash hit, and by
Yeah.
some huge artist, and the songwriter that actually wrote the song is struggling. It's like, oh man, that's really bad.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, I just wasn't very good at it.
okay.
And so I got discouraged, and I didn't, I just said, no, I'm a really good singer, I'm a really good performer, but I'm not great at creating songs. So,
Hmm.
and in the country music world, like Tim McGraw doesn't write songs, Garth Brooks doesn't write songs.
Yeah.
Well, he does write songs, but most of his hits are, somebody, George Strait,
Hmm.
people go find the great song and bring it to the artist. And
Yeah.
and I just enjoyed being on stage. I didn't like being in a dark room with a scented candle drinking flavored coffee. And that's kind of what songwriting is.
Right.
And I kid, but I'm serious. And it wasn't until, recently, maybe the last 5 or 10 years, where I was driving down the road and I'm like, man, I wish I was still singing. I ought to write a song called I Ain't Done Singing Yet. And so I did. And, I was driving down the road one day on Interstate 65 coming south out of Kentucky and heading through Nashville on my way to Alabama. And I just thought, man,
Mhm.
I ought to write a song called Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, because that's where I was spending all my time in my life. And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
uh, I wrote it with a friend. I gave a friend the idea, and they said, "Oh yeah, man, let's write that song." So we sat down and pounded it out. And so
Mhm.
um, it's something that I don't do every day, but it's something
Yeah.
that I'm proud of, these songs that I co-wrote,
Sure.
and I'll probably be doing a lot more of. But at the end of the day, I want to sing the best song. So if I wrote it, awesome, or if I didn't write it, I still
Mhm.
want to sing the,
Yeah.
the, the best songs that you can sing.
Right. Well, back in the day, where did like your music career go off track? Like, did you just kind of get discouraged also with that, or?
Well, I got discouraged for three big reasons. One was Capitol Records had signed me, and they called me and said, "We're gonna go with this guy named Trace Adkins, and we're gonna let you go. You'll find another label, and you'll be fine somewhere else. But we're gonna go with this guy."
Mhm.
And then my manager, who managed Winona Judd and was responsible for the Judd's career, um, he got drunk one night, and cussed me out. So I called him the next morning. I'm like, I don't really want to work with you anymore. I'm not going to have my manager talk to me the way you talk to me. And so,
Yeah.
and then my booking agent, who was Garth Brooks' booking agent, wonderful, sweet guy named Joe Harris. suddenly had a heart attack and died. And this
Oh.
happened, you know, within a short time frame, all these three things. And
Mhm.
so that's when I was like, wow, well, it all came together pretty quickly for me, and I'll just regroup and it'll, you know, I'll get it back together again. And it just really didn't.
Mm.
So it wasn't by choice that I stopped. It was just, you know, it just happened that way. And then,
Mhm.
you know, I started doing music at churches, and that snowballed into a ministry career that I
Yeah.
really didn't plan on having, but
Yeah.
that's where I've been.
Do you think that you doing the real world? Do you think Capitol Records, like they had like an issue with that? Maybe that's why they went with Trace Atkins instead, or you think
No,
you think it affected you in any way?
they didn't get it. I will say they didn't get it. They didn't see nowadays they got all these reality stars that they see dollar signs and record sales with. But
Mm-hmm.
I was the first. I was the first artist on a reality show that, you know, a record label was considering making money with, and they just didn't get it. They're like, okay, this guy's from Kentucky, right? He's a country music singer, but he's on this MTV is where he got his fame. I just, we're not connecting the
Oh.
dots. MTV people aren't going to buy country music. It's like, yes, they are, right now especially. But they just didn't get it. They're like, well, is he rock wearing a cowboy hat, or is he country? I'm like, no, he's very country. That's why he was on The Real World. They just didn't get it, and they
Right.
didn't see how that could have translated with a little bit of promotion from a big powerhouse of a major label. That, I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
they were just confused by it all, and they thought they saw these other artists that were older as a safer bet, I think. And I think they were wrong. But you know, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old in Nashville, they were saying, you know, you're too young, come back later. And then when I was, you know, trying to make a comeback at 30, they're like, well, you know, we just signed this 17-year-old kid, and like, great.
The roles kind of reversed there.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely did.
So, all right. Well, the only other thing I wanted to ask you about, technically, like my channel is kind of a techie channel. It's like I do techie computery stuff, and so I was just kind of wondering, where are you at in the techie world? Are you a techie guy? You have computers? Like, I know you're on social media. Like,
Yeah. So
are
I
you
have
into that
I
stuff?
have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you know, I'm in youth ministry, so I have a Snapchat, but I don't
Okay.
like it. I don't use it. I have a TikTok, and the only reason I made a TikTok is I thought, hey, I want my songs to go viral, so let's, you
Oh,
know.
okay.
But I don't know how to use it. So now I'm exclusively iPhone and MacBook and iPad. So like, if you text me and your texts are green,
Uh-huh.
and it means you're using a Droid, I don't even text you back. Like, I don't even want to be your friend. And I'm kidding, but serious. Um, no, I mean, I know how to operate computers, but
Mhm.
I don't know that I can't. I don't write programs and things like that, so I'm
Mhm.
not like super
Okay.
techy.
Yeah, I really don't do that either. I'm
Yeah,
more of a build computers, diagnose, figure things out.
yeah,
Like
me too.
my job that I have, I work for a very large technology company. I work from home, and I just work on a piece of software that they own. I'm like tech
Awesome.
support for that. So,
Yeah, I
you know,
couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. But you know, I'm like, how do I get my email on my phone and my iPad? But
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I,
Well, I had to ask, since it was a techie channel, I got to throw some kind of techie, stuff in there. You know, I just figured I'd ask that. But I mean,
when will this drop on your YouTube?
I'll probably do some editing, maybe tonight, tomorrow, probably by Monday for sure.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, I'll send you the link again, and I don't know if you want to
Awesome.
watch it back or whatever, but yeah, I'll shoot you the link, and you'll let me know what you think.
Yeah, man, I'll post it on. I'll tweet it out and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
So in addition to being on the Real World, Road Rules, and the Challenge and Celebrity Deathmatch, I don't know if you saw the reunion. Then you saw me tell my roommates, "Did y'all see that I was on Beavis and Butthead?"
Beavis and Butthead. Yeah.
And I'm flipping through the channels. I just happen to see it, and they're like, there I am on the screen, cowboy hat, Real World logo in the bottom of the Beavis and
Uh
Butthead
huh.
television. They're like, this show sucks. Like, I
Yeah.
was on Beavis and Butthead, but they said my show sucks. So I don't know, you know,
Well, it
it's
was Beavis
bittersweet.
and Butthead.
Yeah, I mean, everything they think everything sucks.
Yeah, everything does except
And
burritos.
their show's not on anymore, and mine is. So
Yeah, exactly. They're not doing a Beavis and Butthead homecoming.
not streaming on Paramount Plus like I am.
Right. I'd hate to see how they look now anyway.
They probably look like me and my roommates.
30 years older. So, okay. Well, that's really it. You know, we're coming up on time. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And,
yeah, man. Thanks for working it out, because I know that's in the middle of your work schedule day too, and
yeah,
work day schedule.
Yeah, I got some extra time off, so I'm happy with that. It's Friday, and
Yeah.
And so
Big weekend planned?
No, not really. Just relax, edit this video, and
I'm gonna go watch tomorrow. I'm gonna go watch Alabama play Kentucky in basketball. So
okay,
I'm a basketball. I got my blue on a day early. You know, we're gonna cheer for the Cats.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like I said, thanks again for doing this. Everybody, go get your CD, download your JonBrennan.com. He's got merch, shirts, and got hats.
Shirts and hats and CDs. But if you're not a CD person, you can just download it right off the internet.
Yeah, that works. Well, thanks, John. I really appreciate you doing this. And
hey, thanks, man. All right, brother. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.